Yo!
Cudgle.
What?
Get up, you lazy bones. You need to make a YouTube video so that we don't starve.
Oh, sorry Robert, but I can't. I'm fresh out of ideas for videos.
Don't you have a Word document with over 40 ideas for future videos? Also, don't you keep adding ideas to it as you see people comment any recommendations?
Yeah, but that introduces another issue. I'm too lazy to read.
Alright then, you loser. Do you want a picture book instead? Would that cause the two brain cells in your head to rub together and create a substantial thought?
Yeah, that might help.
Then here's the book of memes. It has a bunch of pictures and pretty colors.
I do like pictures and pretty colors.
Well, I don't like you. Anyway, pick one of these and make it into an Amiibo. We need a new video ASAP.
Alright, let's look at this book of memes. Nah. Nah. Maybe some other time. Oh! God, no. Oh, oh my goodness. Oh, please, God, have mercy on me. Wait a minute. That one's not too bad. Yeah, that could work. I mean, he's a little past his prime, but everybody knows SHREK. I've gotten tons of comments asking me to make him. Yeah, that could work.
Oh Cudgle, I forgot to tell you something.
Yeah, Robert? What's up?
Just wanted to warn you not to go to the dead memes section of the book of memes. Making anything from there into an Amiibo is basically a death sentence. Don't do it. Okay, bye.
I have a problem following authority. What's up, epic gamers? My internet name is Cudgle. My real life name is It's been several years coming, but I'm finally gonna make a SHREK custom Amiibo. He's one of the most requested characters I've ever gotten, especially on my earlier videos, but even now, on my recent ones, I still get people commenting sometimes asking to make him. And you know me, I never do anything at the most opportune time, instead deciding to wait an absurdly long duration before finally acting on it. Future employers, please ignore that. Hey, do me a huge favor. Can you please follow my Instagram and my Twitter? You don't have to, but I think you'll like them very much. Also, I've set a goal for this channel in this upcoming year. I really want us to get up to 100,000 subscribers. It's been a lifelong dream of mine ever since I even started YouTube, so if you think my content's good enough for you to subscribe, then please consider doing that. If you don't want to, then just watching my videos and sharing my content is good enough. I can't thank you enough either way. In the past, I haven't been the best at uploading on a consistent schedule, but during this next year, I plan to change that so that when you guys subscribe, it's worth it. I might be setting myself up for failure here, but my main goal is to try my best. And as long as I'm doing that and you guys like the stuff that I make, I'm content. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get started on our SHREK custom Amiibo. Alright, my little onions, let's get started. You're not actually an onion, by the way. You're most likely a human. I just wanted to make a really clever SHREK reference. Anyway, let's break out the balls. The clay balls, I mean. What'd you think I meant? We'll only be using a few different colors this time. This custom shouldn't be too hard to make, especially with how cartoony that we'll be making him, but the face/head will definitely be the hardest part. To start off with the sculpt itself, we're going to make a wireframe that we'll be building off of. This part is pretty difficult to do since I'm effectively eyeballing the proportions, but I think I should be fine. Also, Since I'm talking to you right now after having made the sculpture and during the editing phase of this video, I can confirm that it didn't have any issues when it comes to proportion. Either that or I'm psychic. I'll let you decide which one is the truth. The torso segment of the wireframe will be made up of balled up tinfoil. This serves a few different purposes. For starters, we can make a nice round shape to more easily replicate SHREK's impressive fupa. This also makes it so that we don't have to use as much clay, since the majority of the body is just interior tinfoil instead of being a solid ball of clay. And as a result of that, the sculpture will end up being much lighter as well. Let's get started with the actual clay, specifically on the torso area. We're going to take a relatively thin sheet of clay to cover the entirety of the tinfoil ball. Say goodbye, tinfoil. You're never gonna see the outside world again, cursed to remain in SHREK's gut until the end of time.
No, please. I don't want to be in clay for eternity.
It's too late for you, tinfoil. This is your fate and you cannot escape it. And there we go, a nice bean shape. Ignore the muffled screams. Using the same color clay as the body, we're gonna give SHREK some arms. They're pretty long and thick, especially compared to the legs that we'll be making later on. I indented a couple folds in the elbows to make it look more like fabric. Now for his tiny little itty bitty legs. We're just going to cover the bottom parts of the wireframe in clay, then continue using this color to cover up a small part of the bottom of the torso ball. Where the clay goes from one color to the next doesn't really need to look super neat or anything, since we'll be covering it up with the longer part of SHREK's shirt. Just roll out a snake, then flatten it, making sure not to make it too thin or else it'll be pretty fragile once it bakes. But once you're done with that, carefully put it in place around the top of the pants we just made. This can be a bit tricky to do without messing up the flattened snake we just sculpted, but I believe in you, and so does SHREK. Now to make SHREK's tiny vest. We're going to flatten some brown clay and cut out several shapes that we can apply to the sculpture and form together so that we can effectively get the vest around the arms. And there we go, I put the vest on. I also added a tiny cross between the two front parts to look like stitching. Now for his belt. Largely the same as the droopy shirt part we just made, but we don't really even need to flatten this one out. Still, it's a much thinner piece of clay, so it's even easier to mess it up, so we gotta be really careful. Oh hi, I didn't see you there, in the middle of this here video. Well, I've got you here. Might you consider liking the video if you've enjoyed it so far? And if you really want to be epic, subscribing is even cooler. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2020, and it's literally impossible to do that without your help. It might be literally impossible to do that anyway, but I like to challenge God. I'm sorry for interrupting your video, but thank you very much for listening. Let's get back to our SHREK boy. It's hands time, baby. His hands are pretty large, which makes things a whole lot easier, so let's just get right into it. Usually when I make hands, I start off by making a sort of flat square with the bottom edge more rounded. Then I shape one of the sides out into a thumb. Once the thumb looks right, I take an X-Acto knife and carefully cut out the rest of the fingers from the top part of the clay, starting with the middle cut and then the other two to make sure each finger is roughly the same size. After that, it's just a matter of painstakingly smoothing out the sides of each finger to make them look more rounded. Then of course, we do the same process for the other hand, except this time putting the thumb on the other side. And violin! We've got two hands. However, we want SHREK's fingers to be bent, so let's go ahead and do that. And there we go! Now it looks like SHREK is coming to grab you and take you away, haha, but that wouldn't happen, right? Alright, so I get it. You're a super sleuth. You definitely noticed the wireframe sticking out of the arms earlier, didn't you? You're smart, I know it. So you obviously knew that we left some wire to put the hands onto the arms, because otherwise it might be kind of difficult to have them stick and stay on. You get a gold star. Don't spend it all in one place. Now for the head and face. I made a green egg. On top of that, we're gonna sculpt Shrek's face onto it. Warning. The following footage depicts the process of Shrek's face being sculpted from scratch. It looks a little creepy until it has some significant detail, but it's not really scary at all once it's finished, I promise. Viewers' discretion is advised. I'm just kidding, it's really not that big a deal. To start with the face, let's hack a chunk out for the mouth. Be sure to make it decently deep so that it has some depth as well as enough room for a layer of black clay, the tongue, and the teeth. Using a ball tip tool, we're going to smooth out the interior of the mouth to make it look a whole lot neater. Since we've already broken out the balls, the ball tip tools, we can give the eyes some large indents as well. After that, we can smooth out the eye indents on the outer sides, as well as give the smile some creases. Yes, it looks pretty unsettling, but don't worry, Shrek will be nice and sexy when we're done with him. Or should I say, Shreksy? I bet no one has ever made that joke. For his nose, we're going to take a small ball of green clay, pinch out some extensions on the sides, then curl them in towards each other to make the nostrils. Then we can put it on the face, adding a bit more clay to the bridge of his nose, then smoothing it out to make it look more natural. Let's move back on to the mouth. Add a small, very thin sheet of black to give the mouth a feeling of more depth. Once the black part is on, we can add a small pink tongue. Now for his teeth. I used the same off-white color as his shirt for the teeth, since Shrek's somewhat of a nasty boy, then rolled it out into a tiny snake and flattened it just a bit. Originally I tried to make each of the teeth individually, but it really didn't look that great. The teeth go on the bottom as well, I just didn't add them yet when I filmed this part, I'm sorry. I then took some more green clay and added lips to the top and bottom of the mouth. This gives it a whole lot more detail, and I think it looks much better with the lips than without. Then we gotta add his eyes so that we can gaze into them longingly. They're just two tiny little tic-tacs that go into the eye sockets that we pressed in with the balls. The ball tip tools, I just went ahead and added the pupils and the eyebrows as well. With that, Shrek's face is done. But wait, we're forgetting something. And if my friend's Shrek tattoo tells me anything, yes, he actually got a tattoo of Shrek on his arm as well as wrote a book about Shrek, go buy it, link in the description, then we're missing a vital part of the Shrek trademark. The ears. Let's stab some wire into the sides of his head so that the ears don't break as easily. Then once we do that, we can slide some green clay onto the wire, then shape it into the kind of trumpet shape that we all know and love. Now that his head is done, we can put it right into place. To finish off the actual sculpting part, let's give the boy some shoes. I cut away a bit of the pants to make room, but other than that, it was pretty simple to just put them on. I wonder how bad Shrek's feet stink. I bet they smell really bad. It's just a thought, just being funny. While we may never know how dirty Shrek's feet are, it's pretty apparent that the clay we've been working with has gotten very dirty. Let's use some nail polish remover on the end of a Q-tip to clean up the little specks and tiny hairs that polymer clay just always gathers. Like it's completely unavoidable. I don't know how to not have it gather these little specks. It really annoys me. Once we've done that, we can bake our boy Shrek, solidifying him into an indestructible monument to his unfading glory. So when I said indestructible, I actually meant it's polymer clay, so it's relatively fragile. Luckily, superglue exists. Now we must add liver spot freckle things to his chrome dome. After we paint those on, we're done with the sculpture itself. However, judging from the fact that the video isn't over yet, we've still got some stuff to do before we're completely done. I mean, it's pretty obvious that since we're making Shrek into an Amiibo, he kinda needs to be on an Amiibo base. I make the Amiibo bases out of resin beforehand in 2 parts, then spray paint the inner Smash logo part gold and the outer part black. If you guys are interested in a video where I show you how I make these bases, I can definitely do that, but it's also perfectly acceptable to make the base out of clay instead of resin. I just use resin because it's a lot quicker and helps me get these videos out a lot faster. Anyway, I held a poll in the community section of my channel asking what character SHREK should be in-game when he's scanned into Smash Bros. The overwhelming majority of you said King K. Rool, which kinda surprised me since I thought that maybe Wario would make a really good fit. However, you guys gave some very valid points as to why K. Rool works better, such as the following.
K.Rool is a cool idea cause he is the less popular creator, but give him respect cause he's a bad boy, so yeah, do K.Rool, at least he's the bad boy, he's way more popular now, so at least do him as a custom amiibo, do him cause he can have respect to have other amiibo do it for the fans.
Crocs live in swamps.
Him throwing the crown will be King Harold's crown like in Shrek the Third, he didn't want to be king. So he's throwing away the opportunity. Oh frick, wait, Shrek the Third isn't canon. Heck.
King K. Rool because they both thick.
So yeah, I'm a K. Rool believer now. You've converted me. Our boy SHREK here is going to be King K. Rool when you scan him into Super Smash Bros. Be sure to keep an eye on my community tab so that you can participate in polls like this. For our final step, we've got to glaze SHREK's face and entire body with a matte finish so that he looks a bit more high quality, as well as adding further protection to the sculpture. And with that, boys and girls, we've completed our SHREK custom amiibo. Probably should have made this years ago, but hey, all's well that ends well, am I right? If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like it or maybe even subscribe if you want to see future videos. Check out my Twitter for memes and updates, my Instagram for drawings and high quality pictures of customs, my website, Cudgle.com, for comics and more videos, and my Etsy, where you can commission me to make you a custom amiibo. In fact, this SHREK custom amiibo is up for sale on my Etsy right now! There's only one, so if you want it, act fast. Another reason to follow my Twitter is because I usually announce when my customs are for sale before the video of that custom even comes out, so you get a super secret sneak peek if you follow me on Twitter. I hope you enjoyed reading this essay as much as I enjoyed writing it. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go slither through a swamp. Swamp, 'cause SHREK.
Bye-bye. See you later.